Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councillor Peterson,
Here.
Councillor Geisler, Councillor Jelly,
Here.
Councillor LeBlanc,
Here.
Mayor Boucher.
Here. Do any councilors have announcements this evening for the public good? Thank you. We have no public hearings. Communications are placed on file. Mr. Mulder, could you give us a short synopsis of the presentation by Essential Wellness Center presentation that we had at pre-agenda, or do you want Joe to do that?
Sure, we'll let Joe do it.
Got his name on it.
Thanks, Mayor and Councilors. Yeah, like we walked through during pre-agenda, there's been exploration on behalf of the city, working with LHB, the YMCA, Essentia, and the school to see what's possible in terms of expansion of the wellness center. We know from the YMCA's perspective, there's need in terms of the amount of folks using it. We know from the community perspective, there's different ways to leverage that facility now that we've had it, kind of up and running for 5 years. And then the primary driver of it is obviously we're region-wide and statewide, suffering some pretty big shortages on the childcare side. And so we walked through and took a look at some design pieces that have been put together by a little bit of a work group. And then we'll have some drawings down at St. Louis County Days. No ask or anything at this point, but some really interesting exploration into what would be possible for expanding the Essential Wellness Center.
Thank you. Next, we have public discussion. This is a time that any individual can address the council about an item not on the agenda. We ask that you limit your time to 3 minutes per person. Is anyone online yet? Second opportunity for public discussion. And third call for public discussion. With no public discussion, we'll move to the consent agenda. Minutes approval or correction of the January 21st, 2025 City Council continuation minutes and the January 27th, 2025 City Council work session minutes. Accounts payable, approved general city warrants from January 16th, 2025 through January 31st, 2025 in the amount of $5,795,638.06. And the third part of the consent agenda is the appointment of Rob Unzen to the 6-year term on the HEDA Commission. Do we have a motion for the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Councillor Jelly to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councillor Geisler. Roll call, please.
Councillor Peterson,
Aye.
Councillor Geisler,
Aye.
Councillor Jelly,
Aye.
Councillor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Next is ordinances. Ordinance 2025-03. An ordinance amending Hermantown Code of Ordinances by adding a new section 280 Housing Trust Fund. This is a second reading and there will be a motion and a roll call at the end. Mr. Mulder, do we want Mr. Ronchetti to describe this?
Please.
Mayor Boucher, councilors, this is the ordinance creating a local housing trust fund, which was drafted such to allow maximum flexibility. This creates a dedicated fund for providing financing for housing projects in the city of Hermantown. It also provides a fund to transfer state affordable housing aid, which is state money driven into local communities to be provided for housing projects. It also is forward thinking in that further funding will become available from the state to fill the gap on housing projects in the community. And this housing trust fund would position us to be able to apply for those funds. Yeah.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council? Is there any public input on this ordinance? Any public input on ordinance 2025-03? Any public input on an ordinance amending the Hermantown Code of Ordinances by adding a new section 280 Housing Trust Fund? Roll call. Please. Oh, we need a motion. Sorry about that. I thought we had one. Motion.
I'll move to approve.
Thank you. Second,
I'll second.
second by Peterson. Now we have comments.
We already went through
Yeah. We went through that. Roll call, please.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Good news is there's no motions needed for the next 5. Ordinance 2025-04, an ordinance amending chapter 2 definition. This is a first reading. Mr. Mulder, is there someone from staff we'd like to tell us about this?
Sure, why don't we have Mr. Johnson?
Mr.
walk
Johnson.
through- Actually, and he's gonna talk about all 4 ordinances. They're all kind of related. 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Okay.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor and Council. As Mr. Mulder mentioned, I will talk about all 4 of these briefly. All 4 of these ordinances have to do with environmental review standards and procedures. So the first one before us is amending Chapter 2, which is definitions. What we do as part of this section, we're going to be adding 7 new definitions to our definition section. I'll give you a soup to nuts type of letters and things here, but terms such as AUAR, EAW, EIS, EQB, RGU. These are all different terms that you hear in the environmental review. AUAR is an alternative urban area-wide review. EAW is an environmental assessment worksheet. EIS is an environmental impact statement. So this chapter identifies what each one of those things are and gives a definition of such. So the next 2, the chapters 5 and chapter 11, what those have to do with is our city's zoning and how these EAWs or these different environmental documents are treated under those sections. So right now, the language is actually very specific to the EAW definitions, EISs, et cetera. So what we're doing is we're cleaning up language instead of having specific language that needs to be updated from time to time when the state changes their statutes. We're just referencing the state statute chapter 4410. Very similar to like we do with the state building code or even our fee schedule. So once again, just getting in more basic information, or basic definitions, information that we refer back to the state statutes. And then lastly, we're looking at the creation of chapter 23, which is environmental review. This is a brand new chapter in our ordinance. What this does is this describes when these different documents are required from a review standpoint. It provides the steps of how these are reviewed. And then lastly, it also sets up the fee schedule for those and then escrow requirements associated with that. Right now, typically, if these have come up in the past, it's more on a case-by-case basis where we negotiate these review fees and escrows, et cetera. But this is actually going to codify those things. So we actually have those fees and escrows set up at time of adoption of this.
Thank you. And this ordinance 2025-04 is a first reading. There will be no motions or vote on it this evening, but we will have an opportunity for public comment. Is there any public comment on this ordinance? Is there any public comment on ordinance 2025-04? Any public comment on an ordinance amending chapter 2 definitions? Hearing none, we'll move on to 2025-05, an ordinance amending chapter 5 land use regulations. This was described by Mr. Johnson. This is a first reading, so there will not be a motion or a vote, but there is an opportunity for public comment. If anyone wishes to comment, please identify yourself and proceed. Any comments on the proposed ordinance 2025-05? Any comments on an ordinance amending chapter 5 land use regulations? Hearing none, we'll move on to another first reading of ordinance 2025-06, an ordinance amending chapter 11 planned unit development. Is there any public comment on this ordinance? Any public comment on the first reading of ordinance 2025-06? And last opportunity for public comment on the ordinance amending Chapter 11 Planned Unit Development. Hearing none, we'll move on to ordinance 2025-07, an ordinance of the city of Hermantown, Minnesota, amending the zoning code, adding Chapter 23 Environmental Review. This is a first reading. No motions or voting. Is there any public comment on this ordinance? Any public comment on the ordinance adding Chapter 23 Environmental Review? Any comment on ordinance 2025-07? With no comments, we'll move on to ordinance 2025-08. This is another first reading of an ordinance amending the Hermantown Code of Ordinances, section 270 fee schedule. Mr. Mulder, is there only one change in this amendment?
Yes, and the only amendment to the fee schedule is the Duluth Water Infrastructure Surcharge, which would take effect April 1st.
So we are adding a fee that we're passing on that's charged to us by the city of Duluth for $7.50 a month per water customer for 15 years,
Yes.
roughly $3 million. 15 years.
Oh, 15 years. Sorry, I thought you were asking how much money.
And just to clarify, there's no extra from the city on top of that. That's
No.
exactly how much the city of Duluth is charging us.
It's a pass-through charge.
Just want to put it out there. In ether.
Yeah, we're only passing on costs.
Could always just increase taxes.
We're not adding on profit or we're not taking a loss. Is there any other comments or questions from council? Any public comment on this ordinance? Any public comment on ordinance 2025-8? Is there any public comment on the ordinance amending Hermantown Code of Ordinances, section 270 fee schedule? Hearing none, we'll move on to resolutions. Resolution 2025-22, resolution of the City of Hermantown approving the allocation of statewide housing aid to the Housing Trust Fund. Do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Motion by Counselor Geisler to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Jelly. Mr. Mulder, should we have Mr. Ronchetti address?
Well, just real quickly. So we've received money. You've established the Housing Trust Fund and we've received money over the last 2 years and we'll also receive some in 2025. We're going to transfer that money to that fund.
Okay, so anything previously received?
Yes.
Any other comments, Mr. Ronchetti? Any questions or comments from council? Any public comment on this resolution? Any public comment on resolution 2025-22? Any public comment on the resolution approving the allocation of statewide housing aid to the Housing Trust Fund? Roll call, please.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Counselor LeBlanc.
Aye.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Next is resolution 2025-23. Resolution authorizing and directing mayor and city clerk to execute amendment to engineering agreement for consulting services with Short Elliott Hendrickson, independent contractor. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Motion to approve by Counselor Jelly. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Counselor Peterson. Mr. Mulder?
So previously we had hired Short Elliott Hendrickson to do the second water connection with the city of Duluth at the intersection of Haynes and Anderson Road. At that time, the city council directed us to, because that was going to be at a prominent location, that we wanted to have an architectural type building there. And so we've asked them for some additional work and additional scope. So they prepared this proposal for us.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council?
Just thanks, David Bolf, city engineer, and other staff that got behind this because it was kind of my doing, and I still think it's the right thing to do at that location. So thank you.
Is there anything stopping us from building that building ourselves and just having them install their equipment inside of it?
I'm not sure.
Putting out a bid to build the building? Cause I mean, like, there's structural engineers involved here for a building that's 12 by 12. I mean, you can go buy trusses at Menards for far cheaper than it would cost to have a structural engineer involved.
Well, Mayor and Council, I would not recommend that because, I mean, one is staff doesn't have the capability to build it ourselves. If we were to put it out for bids, it still has to be an engineered building for the loads and the weights, frost protected. And I think it would just be an extra level of, managing a second contract and a second contractor. So it would be my recommendation that we stay with the amendment that's in front of us.
It's going to be similar to what the baseball field was, where the main contractor will be the earthwork contractor, and then they'll hire a builder to build it. So it will be bid, I would assume, because
Right.
those contractors are going to try to get the best price.
Correct.
Any other questions or comments? With none from council, we'll move on to public input. Is there any public input on this resolution? Any public input on resolution 2025-23? Any public input on the resolution authorizing the amendment to engineering agreement for consulting services with Short Elliott Hendrickson? Roll call, please.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Nay.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Next is resolution 2025-24. Resolution approving change order numbers 14 and 15, KA order number 4 for the North Star Ford Arena in the amount of $85,455.92. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Counselor Geisler. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Counselor Peterson. Mr. Mulder?
Excuse me, there'll be two change orders in this. The first one is to build a mezzanine that will hold the dehumidifier system for the existing arena. They're putting that mezzanine up high, so then that would allow them to use the space underneath an area for puck shooting. The second one is to remove the two garages that are on site. One of them will be just taken away, and the other one will probably be moved by the school district and or HaHa to a different location. But this will then make sure that the foundation work is out there and will extend the drainage and improve the drainage and parking there as well.
Are these garages the ones west of the new building?
Yes.
Any other questions or comments from council?
I guess why struggle with that one, because why isn't the school district footing the bill for that? We can just do what we need to do with the rink, and if those garages flood, then it would be on the school district to deal with it. Why is the city paying for that?
You can make the argument either way. I think the idea there is we were trying to make sure that the parking lot really functions well and the drainage functions well without damaging the school's equipment and or property. One could argue, why is the city building an arena for the school entirely, but
for the community.
Because someone had to do it. Any other questions or comments from council? Any public comment on this resolution? Any public comment on resolution 2025-24? Any public comment on the change orders number 14 and 15 for the North Star Ford Arena? Roll call, please.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Nay.
Mayor Boucher,
Aye. Next is ordinance or resolution 2025-25. Resolution approving pay request number 8 for the North Star Ford Arena to Kraus Anderson Construction Company in the amount of $1,529,557.43. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Counselor Peterson to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor LeBlanc. Mr. Mulder?
So this is the pay application for the work that's been done in the last month.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council?
Just worthy of noting that during the pre-agenda, the contractor commented that they are on schedule.
Thank you. Any other comments from council? Any public input on this resolution? Any public input on resolution 2025-25? Last opportunity for public input on resolution approving pay request number 8 for the North Star Ford Arena. Roll call, please.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher,
Aye. Next is resolution 2025-26. Resolution authorizing and directing mayor and city clerk to execute and deliver purchase agreement for dugout benches, bat/helmet racks, and on-field batting cage for Fichtner Park. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion by Counselor LeBlanc. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Counselor Peterson. Mr. Mulder?
So this was part of the original plan for the city to buy this equipment separately as part of the FF&E of the project. We're trying to get all this stuff purchased now so that we can have it ready to go April 1st.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council? Is there any public input on this resolution? Any public input on resolution 2025-26? Any public input on the purchase agreement for dugout benches, bat helmets, racks, and on-field batting cage for Fichtner Park? Roll call, please.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher,
Aye. Next is resolution 2025-27, resolution authorizing and directing mayor and city clerk to execute an acceptance of easement agreement to the city of Hermantown from James and Sabine Rita Peterson for the Hermantown Trail Project. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion by Counselor Geisler to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Jelly. Mr. Mulder?
So as you know, we're acquiring the easements to put the trail in south of King Creek Park. This is one of the properties that we needed the easements from.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council? Is there any public input on this resolution? Anyone online yet? Okay. Any public input on resolution 2025-27? Any public input on the acceptance of an easement agreement for the Hermantown Trail Project? Roll call, please.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Next, we need a motion for a closed session. Motion to close the meeting of the Hermantown City Council pursuant to Minnesota statutes 13D.05 subdivision 3B per attorney-client privilege for the discussions with the city attorney regarding the Maple Fields tenants remedy action and eminent domain proceedings for trail easements. Do we have a motion to go into closed session?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Counselor Peterson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor LeBlanc. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We will reconvene after the end of this discussion and then close our city council.